Hello YouTube! Today I'm going to be sharing with you my favorite ab isolation exercises. It is far too common on YouTube Fitness for people to never isolate them directly and to just do compound movements and bracing. And the issue is that this is not enough. If you fall for that meme, you're going to end up with a shitty 4-pack that is going to take months of cut to reveal. Whereas a guy like me, who is at 16-17% body fat big, has a full visible 6-pack year round. And the answer and the reason for that is very simple. It's because I train them. There is no mystery. A muscle that you want to see grow has to be targeted directly. Unlike what you might think, it's actually very, very simple. So today I want to give you guys exercises that can be done pretty much anywhere with no equipment that target the abs, that are going to be easy to do, easy on your recovery, that are not going to take you any time in the gym, and that therefore are going to give you massive results down the line. So let's get started with the very first one, which is the abdominal crunch. So first off, you're going to want to avoid the way most people do crunches, which is on the floor with their knees up, trying to reach their knees directly. Because for the most part, this is missing out on the most important factor for abs hypertrophy, which is the stretch. Therefore, you're going to have to find a way to be able to maximize that stretch. And the solution is simple. You're going to find a place where you can put your feet underneath something that is going to be heavy enough to be able to actually carry you, so that you can anchor yourself. And if you are outside, you can use a rock. But if you are in a gym, the obvious solution is a squat rack. Put your feet underneath a squat rack and you are set. If you're lifting at home, you can actually choose something in the room that is heavy enough for you to do the same. And once you are doing that, you are going to do the crunching movement, but we're going to insist on the stretch. So we're going to go up, and then the crucial portion is going to be here. So you're going to go down and resist gravity with your core. And here, I'm not touching the floor. Up again. It's a very simple strategy, a very simple movement, but for me, this is what built my abs. When I was a teenager, I used to do thousands of these every single day. I was obsessed. And it's what worked because it's that simple. Movements that stretch the abs, force them to actually work to resist gravity, give the best result. And the good thing with this movement too is that it is going to be very easy to load. So for example, I can just grab a weight, put it here, and it's going to serve as extra resistance. And if you want something even tougher, put it behind your head. And as you can tell, it is going to increase the moment arm. Therefore, it's also going to be tougher on the abs. And just like that, you have a movement you can do in between sets that is going to greatly work your 6-pack. It works the entirety of the 6-pack if you do it properly. Now, let's look at proper form, because I see many people making a mistake that I want you to correct. So as for the proper way to do your crunches, I know it sounds silly because at the end of the day, it's a simple movement, but I see many people fuck it up. And I think they fuck it up because they're too used to doing it on the floor without their feet being anchored. So they have a bad habit. And that bad habit is that they're always slouched when they do their crunches. And the issue is that it prevents the core from fully expanding and stretching, and that's a mistake. So this is the way you're supposed to do them. The up portion is of course important, but you want to focus on the way down. So you go up, and on the way down, what you want is, you want to open fully, really allow this to catch, and up. What you don't want to do is this. Right? Being all curved forward, you want to be able to open and allow this to stretch, okay? I said that people have bad habits because when you do your crunches like this, your neck is forward and therefore you have the habit of also being curved forward. And that's a big mistake because you're not getting the full benefit. So again, up with a straight spine. And when we go down,
we allow the chest to open, stretch fully, and back up. Open, look at my head, I'm not like this, I'm like this, and up. And this is the proper way to do your crunches. So once you understand that method, you're golden. Keep doing crunches, keep progressively overloading, and you're going to see results down the line. There is no way around it. And then if you want something a little bit special to spice it up, what you can do is you can do a variation of that type of crunches that is going to work the sides of the core. And it's also as simple as the previous one. For this one, what you're going to do is you're going to go up again, but we're going to stop here. And in this position here, what you're going to do is you're going to get yourself not necessarily parallel, but slightly elevated like this. And from this position, we're going to do this movement. And it doesn't look like much, but one, the abs have to contract and flex to prevent the torso from falling. And secondly, what looks like just a silly movement of the arm is actually the entire trunk rotating, and that's extremely hard on the sides right there. You can see them being fully contracted here and here. And look at these bad boys. It's exactly how I work mine. And if you want to be a savage, you can just grab a weight and make the same motion. And that is a fucking killer. So make sure when you do the movement to not just do this, really accompany with the waist, and you're going to find out that this is going to completely destroy your core. It also destroys the lower abs that have to really work hard to make sure you don't fall. And if you keep training like this, with that movement for a few months to years, there is no way you're not going to have a well-defined six-pack with beautiful definition on the sides.
So that was for the first exercise. And actually, a little tip for you guys, if your gym has a decline bench, please start doing your crunches on it. You will find that it is actually the best variation of this exercise because the angle is the exact one needed to stretch the abs maximally, especially the lower abs. And on top of that, it's even easier to load because you can just grab a medicine ball or a weight and you can just let it go when it gets hard and you can keep cranking out reps with just body weight. So it really is probably the best ab exercise in existence, but sadly, I don't have the equipment. Now for the second one, we're going to focus more on the lower abs in particular because many people wonder how to develop these guys here underneath. And the answer sometimes is just cut more because a lot of people have fat in this area, but it also could be that you don't have lower abs because you don't train them enough. And therefore, what I'm going to start telling you to do is to do leg raises on a bench or on the floor. We're always going to prioritize on a bench because it allows for the legs to float and therefore for more stretch because you're going to have to catch the legs as opposed to if your heels would actually hit the ground with every single rep. This lift has a bad reputation on YouTube Fitness because apparently biomechanically it doesn't work the abs, but anyone who's done a set of leg raises will tell you that it worked the abs a ton. Let's start with the bench variation.
Now, when it comes to leg raises, the way you want to do them is on a bench with your ass on the bench, but your hamstrings floating. Again, don't make the mistake I see too many people make of half the leg being supported by the bench. That's cheating because you have a support. The goal of the leg raise is to force the abs, especially the lower abs, to catch the full weight of the lower body. So that you have all of this portion here that is going to nicely have to stretch in order to compensate. Therefore, each set of leg raise should look something like this. Up fully, and then we allow for the stretch at the bottom, and as you can see, the entire core is going to work nicely. You can, if you are a beginner, start with knee raises that are slightly easier, then actually do them with straight legs so that it's harder, and actually go up from there. Too many people think that it's a lift you can progressively overload. That's not true. It's a myth. You can use ankle weights, or you can even use dumbbells. Stick a dumbbell in between your feet and do as many reps as you can. Many people, as I said, wonder how to grow their lower abs, this is the answer. I struggled for a long time because I only had these two, and it's only when I started to implement leg raises to a tremendous extent that I saw results.
So when you do your leg raises, the most important portion is of course the bottom. Don't insist too much on the top. I see many people who think that if they don't have their legs directly perpendicular with the ceiling, that it doesn't count. That's silly, it's just phone police nonsense. What you truly want is the stretch at the bottom and therefore the catching of the weight of the legs. So this is what we prioritize in the leg raise. So from here to here is your bread and butter. As you can see where my legs are, they're not directly looking at the ceiling because this is where the stretch occurs. I'm not telling you to do partials. What I'm saying, however, is that this is the part of the lift you don't want to skip. It's that moment where the legs finally go under the body and you have to recover them from this position to this position here. Then you can go as high as you want. I don't give a fuck. This portion here, not much occurs. Okay? You can see the abs look pretty, but they're not working that much. They get taxed here. Here there is the stretch, right there. So that's our striking zone. That's what we want to focus on, and that's what we want to progressively overload with weight. Since if you get no hypertrophic response from your low abs, it might be that the volume is too low, maybe, or that the load is too light. And this is when the dumbbell in between the feet is going to come into play. Every time you do a bench press, after you re-rack the bar, you do a set of leg raises or knee raises. And just like that, the problem of I don't have time to train abs disappears. You're going to finally be able to develop that six-pack by saving time and also making sure that you get intense sets done, because if a fucker comes out and tells me that doing abs after a set of bench is going to damage his performance, I will personally find where you live and I'm going to make you do sets of crunches in the thousands until you puke your protein shake. And that is going to be that for this video. So as you can see, nothing crazy, no exotic variation, just time-tested methods that if you apply throughout the month and years are going to grow your abs. Unlike many fitness YouTubers like to talk about six-pack shortcuts, I prefer six-pack long cuts because they actually fucking work. Stop yo-yo dieting to get your abs, actually put in the work and pay the price. Because the beautiful thing about a six-pack that is well earned is that once you have it pretty much forever, because it's muscle growth, and muscle growth built naturally, you can keep naturally. Now, for the advice I would give you, be careful when you start isolating your abs, just like any muscle. You don't want to get into shock by doing too much at once. Maybe start with 2 or 3 sets a week of isolation, then grow from there. If you've been on any of my free programs, you know that I make you train abs all the time, and it's because this is where the best results are, but it would be stupid to do too much at once and start developing a bad relationship with the method. So start slow. And with the lifts I showed today, you have a progression right there. Start with body weight crunches once a week, and then another time in the week you could be doing knee raises. With the knee raises, as I said, you can superset them, and I will also tell you to superset the crunches because it costs nothing and it saves time, and that way you make sure you don't skip. Remember, the number one method to grow a muscle is always to target it in priority with isolation, and after that to progressively overload on the movements you've selected. Sadly for abs, some people have convinced themselves nowadays that they're the exception and the only thing that works is to get low body fat. That is simply not true. You're going to end up with a shitty 4-pack you have to flex to see. If you want abs like these, are just there without me having to suck in my stomach like this like a madman, they're just present even when I'm relaxed, even at a higher body fat, the solution is simple. Just do the movements that I've shown you in this video and don't give up on them. If you don't see results, keep in mind, it's normal. Muscle takes time to grow. But if you want to get to a stage where you can be big without limiting your diet or cutting all the fucking time like an asshole, and you want to be able to have that six-pack year-round that some people say is impossible to have, well, just follow that advice. I have a six-pack year-round. I am 210 at 6 feet. It's possible. This that you see right there is not genetics. It's called hard work. And that's very good news because it means you can have it as well. After that, a word of caution. If it is true that abs can be hit every day because they recover quickly since the core is extremely endurant, you still have to pay attention to when you're going to overtax the core. If you want to destroy the abs entirely, don't do it the day before a big deadlift or a big squat because it might damage your ability to stay rigid throughout the movement and it could be dangerous for your lumbar spine. So that's the one caveat I would put. But for the rest, have at it. Punish your abs. They're a muscle, and just like any muscle, they need to be damaged and targeted to grow. So don't be shy. Train them every day. Train them 3 times a week. Every time you train, this is going to get you the best results. I absolutely guarantee it. And I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.